Welcome back to Guru Beauty. I am Jody. Another foundation review coming your way. This time it's the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer. This one has been out in Australia for a couple of months now, and at first I thought that this was one of those really watery, liquidy foundations. This is not one of those foundations. This is a foundation that does promise decent full coverage. It also does promise long wear, and today I'm going to show you this product going on, and I'm going to share with you how it looks on my skin, how it lasts throughout the day, and give you my recommendations. This foundation retails wherever you find Clinique in Australia or online for $50 Australian dollars, and it goes for $27 US dollars. $50 Australian dollars puts this at about the same price level as your Estee Lauder double wear. You've got your 1 fluid ounce here, glass bottle with a lid that screws off and the applicator wand attached. You can see an oversized sponge tip applicator. That's going to be something that some of you who are ultra hygienic, you might be concerned about that wand. I don't really mind. They say you just use that to dot all over your face and go from there. This is allergy tested, 100% fragrance free. They promise moderate to full coverage on the back of the bottle and a natural matte finish. What they claim is that this foundation and concealer in one covers thoroughly with a lightweight feel. It's a natural, flawless look, they say, that lasts all day. For all over coverage or used to spot conceal, it is oil free, and I find that from my research people either love it or they hate it. I've got to say, and get it out early, I'm one of the latter group. I'm not a huge fan of this foundation. A little bit more detail, what Clinique says, at least according to their website, is that the foundation and concealer is a natural, beyond perfected look that lasts all day. It's lightweight, moisturizing makeup that covers thoroughly without clogging pores. Skin breathes comfortably, they say. Color stays true, despite the fact that they also say on another section of their website that it does dry down lighter for most people, so that's interesting. They say that the color stays true even through sweat and humidity. Due to the rich pigment level that enhances this flawless coverage makeup, shades may appear deeper when first applied. Once blended completely and allowed to dry, Beyond Perfecting makeup will melt into your skin for a beyond perfected flawless look. A little goes a long way. I think there's about 13 shades on the Australian market and close to 20 I think on the US market. Do test this product. I found that the color match that the makeup artist matched me to, completely inappropriate, and really had to work very hard to insist that I try the number 6, and the number 6 is perfect for me. I just don't like this foundation, I've just got to say. Maybe for those of you who have skin like mine, this would probably be something that you might want to steer clear from. They claim that it's long wearing, but I find that this just it just doesn't wear nicely throughout the day. I will cut now to application. You'll see this product going on. You'll see what kind of coverage and finish I get out of this product, how I apply it, and I'll be back at the end of the day. Starting off with my regular skincare today, I've used a serum, I've used an SPF moisturizer. This is the Super Primer Universal Face Primer from Clinique. My skin feels very smooth once I've applied that. Next, I'm going to use my Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer, and I'm going to use that very large sponge tip applicator to dab the foundation all over my face. I'm now going in with a flat top kabuki brush. This is one that I have from Sonia Kashuk. It's a number 4. I'm just sort of blending that product in all over the face. It does take a little bit of work to blend it in. I do find in the mornings that sometimes, even with one layer of product, this foundation can look a little bit patchy. So it does take just a little bit of extra attention to make sure that you've got an even coverage of foundation, that it is blended in and as even as possible. Also, it takes a little bit of extra attention just to make sure that there are no streaks as well on the skin. And I find with one layer, I don't know, I feel a little bit ho-hum, I guess. The finish is pretty natural. The coverage is pretty natural. I find that with one layer, it is a pretty much a light to medium coverage of product. You really do need to start focusing into areas that want extra coverage if you want extra coverage. I'm starting now just to dab product over the larger areas that require a little bit more coverage, and I am building that coverage up a little bit more. Now with this foundation, as you build it up, I do find that you are sacrificing finish. It really quickly starts to not look very natural on the skin. Now to put the concealer aspect of this product to the test, I'm using my concealer brush, and I'm finding that with a dabbing motion with my domed concealer brush that I am getting a nice coverage over blemishes, over areas that just have that extra pigmentation that need extra coverage, and blending that in. I'm not wearing this under my eyes today. I don't like this product under the eyes, but overall, once I've done 1.5 layers with my foundation brush and then a more precision application using the concealer brush, I find that my coverage is definitely a little bit more than medium. I would say somewhere between medium and full. It's not a full coverage. It's slightly more than medium would be the maximum that I can build this product up to. In terms of finish, I feel like it's not particularly smoothing to the pores, but it's not exacerbating my pores. And finish wise, I can see a little bit of a glow. Overall, at this point on application, I'm kind of a little bit ho-hum. I paid a little bit of attention to make sure it was blended in, but I have covered everything. Even seconds after blending, when I look at my face close into the mirror, I can see, you know, the product has settled into, you know, a fine line on my forehead, so I'm blending that one out with my finger. It also just, I don't know, I can see it on my skin. I can see it sort of sitting on my skin. It feels a little bit tacky at this point. I'm not very pleased with the product at this point, but I will be back in a little bit after I've applied the rest of my makeup just to let you know how it's going, how it's looking and feeling once it's had a chance to settle in. I'm back. I've applied the rest of my eye makeup, also some concealer under my eyes, so a couple of blemishes. I would say that the foundation as a concealer is not really holding up. I will want to go over those with another long wearing concealer like my Estee Lauder Double Wear, for example, or MAC concealer, just to absolutely cover those blemishes. The finish of the foundation, it has a little bit of a shine. I think the camera is probably picking that up. I checked my skin before I came back on the camera. Again, I just saw some cakiness. So even like around the hairline, some cakiness that I really needed to work on, and also some settling just around, you know, pores and fine lines, also around my nose. This is a foundation that just has that feeling and look of sitting on your skin. So not hugely impressed at this point. Okay, so I've just used my concealer brush with my MAC concealer palette just to go back over those blemishes that did really need that little bit extra. And now, because this foundation just looks a little bit shiny, just a little bit shiny at this point, I am going to set with a little bit of powder. This is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder in Diffused Light, using a really fluffy brush, not using too much powder at all. I am going to set that foundation around my T-zone. I'll leave my cheeks free. They can tend to look quite cakey around here with this foundation, so I don't want to apply any extra product there. Just around the corners of my nose, the tip and whole of my nose, and around my forehead where I can look a little bit greasy. I have also contoured and highlighted using my Too Faced Bonjour Soleil palette. I have used in here the Sun Bunny Natural Bronzer to sort of contour and warm up the face, and then the Snow Bunny Luminous Bronzer to highlight all the shimmery high points on my face. I actually use this palette as eyeshadow today too. I am using the Aussie brand K Luxe Mink Lashes in the style Alexandra on my eyes. And I've also applied some blush. This is the messiest blush I own, but it's beautiful. Nude by Nature Mineral Blush in Virgin Blush. You can see it's gone everywhere, which is just fabulous. And then on my lips, I've been loving this shade. This is one of the Maybelline Color Drama Intense Velvet Lip Pencils in the shade Fab Orange. Back to the foundation. I am going to wear this foundation throughout the day. I will be back, as always, at the end of the day to let you know how it's worn. It is about 10.5 hours after application of the Clinique Beyond Perfection Foundation and Concealer, and I think the nighttime lighting is probably not making it look worse than it does in real life. This is really quite shiny on my face. The foundation has not really worn all that nicely throughout the day. Whether I wear this with a primer, any kind of primer, without a primer, powder, no powder, any kind of which way, this product just kind of doesn't look great on my skin throughout the day. I'm always finding myself sort of touching up this foundation with my finger, trying to smooth it out around areas where I might get creasing, like around the corners of my nose, where I might wipe my nose, around my eyebrows, where I've got lines on my forehead, that kind of thing. I'm finding that I'm always kind of just trying to smooth it out. So this foundation really does have a tendency to sort of cake throughout the day. How it looks now without any touch up is probably the best that I can get out of this foundation. Other days where I haven't used sort of more luminizing products to set, this foundation really can sort of look just flat and not do anything for me. And I found today that my nose area in particular started looking quite shiny quite early on. I think I touched up my nose actually once, maybe just like an hour after application. I find, you know, this is not a particularly matte foundation, but it can look quite flat. It's a pretty light to medium coverage if you use just one layer, just a little bit. So if you want that extra coverage, you need to use more product, and it is a foundation that's definitely prone to caking. It can look flat, and I don't find that it sort of inhibits the oils throughout the day. It's just, you know, for a $50 foundation, I think we can just do a lot better than this. Therefore, for anyone with my type of skin, I think particularly if you have got the fine lines and wrinkles, if you've got the pores, if you do want to look radiant and hydrated, but you don't want to look oily, I can't recommend this foundation. Unfortunately, it's a dud for me. Okay, so you can see that this foundation, you know, it's not even beautiful looking when I first apply it. It takes work to make sure that the streaks are out, that it's blended, that it's not looking cakey, even on one layer around areas of hairline, around corners of noses, in pores, in fine lines. This is a product that for me tends to cake. I want to assure you that I have used this in very little amounts, in more amounts, with different primers, without powder, with many different primers, with many different powders, with illuminators mixed in. I've used this many ways, with the beauty blender, with my fingers, with a brush. There's no way that I like this foundation. Even upon application, it's kind of patchy. It doesn't look like it's even. I think it translates better to camera than it does in real life. And, you know, the finish is kind of shiny at first, so I will always tend to want to powder this foundation, and it just dries throughout the day. It creases with the lines in my face. It cakes throughout the day. It sort of just looks uneven, and, you know, not only do I not stop and look in the mirror and go, wow, what am I wearing on my face? That looks great. Whenever I see my reflection when I'm wearing this foundation at any time throughout the day, I just think, oh, my skin looks awful. So it really was a stretch for me to wear this foundation, honestly, one more day once I'd absolutely made up my mind about this foundation to film the review. I just don't like this foundation. I just don't recommend it. There are people online who love this foundation. It got a 3.5 stars on Sephora.com. It got 3.2 stars on Makeup Alley. They are relatively low scores, so I would say that, you know, overall on average 3.5, 3.2 stars. That's a pretty average foundation rating, but again, it's one of those foundations that people love or hate. Unfortunately, I quite strongly dislike the Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer. It does nothing for me. No one would ever ask me what I'm doing to my skin when I'm wearing this foundation, and it unfortunately gets the guru thumbs down. However, if you are one of those people who love this foundation, or if you agree with me, whichever, please do let me know your thoughts and experiences down below. If you love it, please let me know what you love about it, what your experience has been. Certainly not everyone has the same experiences with foundations as I do, so I would love to learn from you, and certainly so would others. So please do comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a gorgeous day. Don't forget, you are beautiful. Even if you're wearing foundations that make you feel, don't just worry about looking at, make sure you be it, and I will see you again really, really soon. Bye.